emotion in sport, it's ever present, isn't it? Many times you see a golfer wanting to throw his club away or a footballer punching the goalpost padding. Probably don't see as much of that in motorsport, but under the helmet, in the car, there's plenty of emotion comes out. I can imagine when you passed Rick Kelly at Winton in 04, he was yelling and screaming and ranting and raving, but it doesn't always carry over into the pit lane or post-race interviews. Are we missing something there?
Oh, look, I think it's got better. I think 5 years ago, we as in drivers were quite sanitised. I'm not sure we want it to get to throwing of helmets and fisticuffs in pit lane like we've seen in NASCAR this season. But yeah, look, I agree. More emotion is better because more emotion brings out more exposure for the category. What I would like to see, going back a step, is more sort of column inches during the week in between races. So if there's an incident on the circuit, maybe there's a system in place where if the driver doesn't accept it, they go to a tribunal like the AFL because they get another big hit of the media and all the news services like on a Tuesday night. Yeah, perhaps, you know, and just create a bit more drama in that sort of behind the scenes, court hearing.
There, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And the radios, clearly we know that they're scanned and we've got to be careful what we say on the radios. But, Paul Morris was great because he just shoot from the hip. Murph still does it a little bit. If we can get a couple more to step up to the plate, and I know in pit lane when the driver gets a microphone when Barrett's comes down, they seem to be a little bit more animated. They go a little bit harder than they used to, but we still need to develop that. And I think if the sport's going to kick off in the States, we need a little bit more of it. I don't know, who do you think might be able to become that person?
There's a couple, like Jono Webb, he'll say what he feels. David Reynolds sometimes answers questions you haven't even asked him, but he's genuinely natural.
Well, press conferences, he's fantastic.
So we need to get more of them. Maybe the format of the press conferences. Maybe we do a Formula One pre-event press conference where you can review what's happened before and pull out of people how they were feeling at the end of the race, because more often than not, you hear from the top three, well, of course they're happy. Yeah. What about if we heard from the three that failed for whatever reason or who were punted off? That's the difference. The stories are there, it's how we pull them out.
And I think social media is a classic example of why drivers have quite big followings, because they tweet fun stuff, particularly Davey Reynolds. Yeah. They tweet interesting stuff that the fans want to see. So let's get them doing that when they get out of the car. Let's get them doing it more at the racetrack and even during the week. You know, it's not an easy one to capture, but if we can just give the sport a little bit more personality in between rounds, I think that's a great thing.
So Circuit of the Americans, it should be gloves off, microphones on.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, it's exactly what the Americans would expect. And they're going to be competing against NASCAR over there, and that's something that NASCAR has, that personality side. So we're definitely better than we were 5 years ago. Let's just develop it a little more.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think the rules are pretty strict in V8 Supercars in regards to what you can and can't do on the circuit as drivers are concerned, and I think that drivers should be allowed to show a little bit more personality and a little bit more character from time to time, and we certainly get lectures from V8s in regards to that we should show colour, but then in other situations we get told to stand there with a straight face and don't move, don't wear a hat, don't do anything funny, and I think that we do need to open it up a little bit, because if you look up and down pit lane, you just don't see that character anymore, like a good old Larry and Dick and those guys that showed some emotion. And there's Russell Ingall who's in his later years of being a V8 Supercar driver, and Murph as well, who have got really good character. And below that, there's just a whole heap of bland drivers to a large extent. And I think a bit more character and encouraging that, and not finding people for saying what they think, and a little bit more of a free opportunity to race on the track would be a good thing for the sport.
I don't know what we do. We've had our kids over years, and when they chuck a tanty, we tell them not to. We got fines. Every one of us in pit lane's got a $10,000 fine for saying what we think at some stage, and then they say, no, you've got to say what you're thinking, and then you don't say what you think. So we're all confused, I think. So they've all been moulded a little bit corporately and having to do their own thing. But yeah, I'd like to see them show a bit more emotion, but we spend too much time on Twitter, I think, now. That's where all their emotion comes out.
The way we brought up our current crop of drivers, they're not allowed to be themselves, and that revolves back to the judicial system.
Well, I'm a big fan of the NASCAR stuff, and obviously you see those guys get up to some pretty crazy antics off the track, and I think here in Australia we could probably do with a bit of that, but any time that we sort of do speak our opinion, we sort of get pulled back a bit. So I don't think it would hurt for us drivers to be allowed to express our feelings a bit more. I think it would help the TV ratings and create a bit more interest in the sport, and that can't be a bad thing.
I think we need a bit more freedom to make the racing exciting, but not to NASCAR's level. drivers, mechanics, officials, clerk of the course, stewards, bring it on.
Yeah, I reckon it's good. I love that sort of stuff, that carry on and, you know, the rivalries between people. They should have more of it. I don't, like, you know, there's probably 5 people I don't get along with anymore down pit lane, and, you know, I could probably do something eventually. Someone pushes me over the edge. I won't come swinging, but I'll get them back in other ways, off the track. Slip them a Mickey at the bar, I don't know. Tip them upside down somehow.
Yeah, I think a lot of people should be like David Reynolds.